Hello there. What is going on, everybody? We have another Legion expansion announced. I am beginning to become overwhelmed by the amount of Legion content that is coming out this far into it's in its second year now, or almost in its second 12-month period. It's in its second calendar year, but wow. Okay, so this is a downed ATST Battlefield expansion. We're going to talk all about this because we got some really interesting. It's basically like a campaign almost is what it looks like. But before I dive too far into it, I do want to remind you guys there is another round of the giveaway. There's still time to enter it. I'm giving away a Star Wars Force FX lightsaber right now. All you have to do to enter to win that is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. There's more details for that on Crabbok.com. As far as a comment goes, it can be an individual comment. You can let me know what you think of this expansion. You can be replying to somebody else's comment. If somebody says something you agree with, you can tell them they're awesome, or maybe even expressly say why you disagree. But yeah, any of those type of comments are valid. So let's go ahead and talk about the downed ATST Battlefield expansion. We've seen a Battlefield expansion with the Battlefield supplies already, so this isn't actually the very first one. And it's cool because it's like they're doing terrain. So here is the ATST. I love these models, and I'm instantly thinking, boy, if this would have come out earlier, a lot of people could have saved ruining ATST models, because I know a lot of people, I've seen a ton of people crashing their own ATST models to make their own terrain, whether it's a Fantasy Flight version or the Bandai kit. The Bandai kits, a lot of people have gotten those because those were actually not that expensive. So you could get those and just kind of trash them. I've done a lot of model kits that I've turned into terrain. However, I have not destroyed an ATST yet, so that that's good for me. I'll definitely be getting this to check it out. I know at Gen Con there were a lot of downed ATSTs at Gen Con as well as part of the terrain there. So yeah, this is going to be pretty cool, but it's not just terrain though. It's basically an objective, and I think that's kind of how they're getting around the whole, because I think terrain is a different license. So if they're able to have terrain that has a gameplay element to it, so it's more than just a piece of terrain, then I think it still falls within the license of making stuff in components for Legion. So I don't think they could just make like trees, but they could make like a mecha death tree that happens to shoot anybody that gets near it. You know what I mean? Like things like that. +1 for mecha death tree. All right, so here is our spread. I think they have it painted up real nice. And you can do it in a variety of different ways. I probably won't do this in like a sandy gravel kind of way. I'll probably do mine to be like white rocks and snow to a better, illustrate the entire Hoth theme that I have going on for my terrain. But yeah, and we're going to get 6 cards with this too. And if you'll notice, the cards that we can see all say Act 1, which means that there's going to be an Act 2. So you're gonna have Act 1 and Act 2, and that's probably the 3 different cards. So you're gonna have like an entire. So basically, this is like a micro campaign, is what it looks to be. You're going to be doing something in the first, in the first act, and that is going to influence what happens in the second act. One of the things they talk about is that like you need, like if you lose somebody, they may not be able to come back in the second act. So that's cool. Now zooming in on what we can see for the condition, the downed ATST Act 1. It's kind of sad they didn't call it a downed chicken walker. I know a lot of you guys give me a problem when I say chicken walker, but that's what it is. People who know what I'm talking about. I don't even know why it's called a chicken walker. It's just something we all did when we were kids, when these things were coming out by Kenner. We always called the ATST a chicken walker. Maybe because it looks like a chicken. They never called it that in the movies. So officially it's an ATST or a scout walker. It's not really called a chicken walker, but I call it a chicken walker, and some of you do too, and doggone it, +1 for chicken walker. Okay? Anyway, at the start of the place terrain step, place the downed ATST terrain piece in the center of the battlefield. So you're going to put this thing right in the center. Pretty straightforward. And then we have our deployment, and this is basically going to be kind of like the Long March, but it's going to be a really long march because you're pretty far away from each other. The blue player must play the Imperial faction, and the red player must play the Rebel faction. So this is not something that you're just going to incorporate into your regular games. This is going to be like a custom, like when you're using this, you're going to use all 3 of these cards, because this isn't something you can just shuffle in. Because what if we're both Imperial players? So we selected forces converge. You lose because you were the Imperial player and you were supposed to be the Rebel player. Right, so you're obviously going to be using these for a specific, a specific build. You're going to coordinate ahead of time who's going to be Rebel, who's going to be Imperial, etc. So I mean that's cool because and as a person who doesn't really like the ultra competitive side of Legion, I'm very much more in favor of the casual and fun, the more laid back side of Legion. I think the idea of a campaign like this is a fantastic idea, especially if you're going to be going to play Legion all day. You can play 2 games back to back and basically work out the whole campaign aspect of it. So that's really cool. So during Act 1, which is your first game, right? Each unique unit that is defeated and each unique upgrade equipped to a unit that is defeated is set aside and cannot be included in an army during Act 2. So that's really cool. So like if Luke Skywalker dies, he's dead. He's out of the campaign. So that's actually really, really interesting because that's going to change your army building. And I think, they have enough units in the game now that's not going to be a problem. Like if this would have come out in the core set, if I killed Darth Vader, I just won the whole campaign because you got no more commanders. So that's kind of cool. And for the actual objective, this is really what's gonna kind of outline how you play. So while there are no objective tokens in play, which I guess is gonna be the default state, each core and special forces trooper unit that has a unit leader in base contact with the downed ATST terrain piece gains extract for 2 actions. It costs 2 actions to extract, and you place an objective token in base contact with your unit leader and claim that token. Now, once somebody does this, it can't be done anymore. So this can only be done a single time because they only gain that ability while there are no objective tokens in place. Once they do this, they're putting an objective token in play. What they've done is they have secured intel from the ATST. They basically pulled the hard drive out of the master computer in the ATST or the navigation logs or whatever the intel is. Maybe we'll just say it's a USB drive, right? They snatched the USB drive out of the ATST. And do they use USB in a galaxy far, far away? Or do they use maybe they pulled out a little Astromex data core, right? That's probably a code cylinder. That's it. Listen, let me know what you think the intel is, right? Or what is it? One of those data tapes like on Scarif. Anyway, whatever it is, I'm going to say a code cylinder. That sounds about most right. So they found a cylinder, and once they pull it out, it can't be pulled out again because there's only one. While an objective token is in play, each core and special forces trooper unit gains the single action claim. And they can claim an objective and then put it that's in base contact with your unit leader. While our trooper unit has claimed an objective token, it reduces its maximum speed by 1 to a minimum of 1. And the victory condition is a player wins and gains 1 victory token if at the end of the game they control a unit with a claimed objective token. So here it's basically all about securing the intel. It's like self-explanatory. There's a code cylinder in this ATST. You have to get it and save it. And just hold on to it at the end of the game. Well, this gives each side, a reasonable chance to win because all I have to do is kill your 1 unit and then claim it. Or wins and gains a victory token. Well, that's interesting. Wait, they win and they gain a victory token. So what if I'm running Boba Fett and Bosk, and they each have the bounty hunter on 2 of your commanders, and they each kill, or they each kill a person. So I have 2 victory. So in theory, I could get 2 victory tokens to your 1 victory token, but you would still win. Then what's the point of the victory? Why does a victory token even matter? I wonder if that somehow ties into Act 2. If victory tokens give you some kind of bonus for the next act. Like maybe you get extra points based on how many victory tokens you have, or something like that. That's just interesting. I wonder why the victory token's there. Maybe it's just there. It's probably just there because for rules simplicity. Look, you have to have a victory token, right? But yeah, no, it does say that you win though if you have that, which makes sense. For 99% of games, that's going to do it. while a trooper has a claimed objective token, reducing its speed. So that's going to definitely kind of make it a little bit more of a fight in the center. Initially, when I was looking at the whole extract thing, like the idea is you want to rush to the ATST and extract the information, I was thinking Boba Fett, and now for the Rebels, Sabine, both have jump and speed 3, so they would have a tremendous advantage in trying to get there in time. But since they are commander and operative, respectively, or vice versa, they don't have the option to be able to extract that information. So the best they can do is get there. And that's probably why it's core and SF only that can extract it. But here is the trick. And here's what kind of breaks this. You might have to make there be a rule that says no Pathfinders. Because Pathfinders can be deployed touching this. So your first thing you can, like, the first action, you extract the intel and start running away. So, like, this seems like, why did they release this at the same time as Pathfinders are coming out? Because that's, like, really means Rebels automatically win. Or maybe that's what they're supposed to do. I think I said in my last Legion video, or maybe on my live stream last night, I don't think Pathfinders are going to be that great. I think they're going to look really good on paper, and they'll be really good on some objectives. However, it's very, 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 very easy to counter them by just making sure you eliminate the objective that they would be good on. So, and then if you have something, any other objective, then I think they're just going to be out by themselves with no one to protect them. I just don't think they'll be that good, especially compared to Death Troopers. But this is one that they're not only going to be good, they seem like, boy, that could be an automatic win. It could just be an automatic victory. If you can deploy them right in the middle and just take this, and then just hide the rest of the game, and just have and just make sure you run Chewbacca so they can run back to Chewie, and he can Guardian for them if somebody does get in range, and then have everybody else surround him so nobody can even move into melee. I mean, goodness, it'd be real easy to, or maybe the Empire is going to get somebody that has the whole ability to deploy anywhere, so maybe will balance it out. But that's maybe it shouldn't be SF. Maybe it should only be core. Of course, they can always just change that within errata. Or because this is a campaign, you can probably house rule it. If Pathfinders if they break this scenario, I think it's something you could easily just say, all right, we're not going to use Pathfinders in this game. Because it seems like Jyn Erso and Jyn can't do it, but the Pathfinders would be able to do that. But on its own, you can still use this as a terrain piece in normal games anyway. So it is pretty nice looking. It's going to be pretty big, as you can see here next to some of the other minis. It's going to be a nice sized terrain piece. Looks like it's still only going to be height 1, so it's not, and nobody will be able to actually stand on top of it. Although you might be able to get a couple of minis up there on the piece, on some of the the rocky ground part of the terrain piece, but it primarily looks like an obstacle you're going to have to go around rather than set foot on. So definitely be a heavy cover piece for most of it. Looks good though. It looks good. It's kind of high enough off the ground too that the rocky formation will provide heavy cover to troops pretty much universally. That's kind of how it looks. But it's a cool looking piece. I'm interested to see what Act 2 looks like. Maybe you're forced to use the same list in Act 2 that you did in Act 1, minus any unique stuff, and maybe that's part of the strategy is, all right, use those Pathfinders in Act 1, but maybe the Pathfinders are terrible for Act 2. Maybe that's the trade-off. I'm interested to see what Act 2 is going to look like, and the fact that it's like a campaign or something that you could work. I mean, you could run tournaments with this, but I think this would work better as just a casual, hey, let's go play this Sunday, let's go play Legion, let's get 2 games, let's run the campaign. And you get a couple of people that want to do it, so you have campaigns going on all the tables, and then you kind of compare notes at the end of the day. I think it'd be really fun. But let me know if you think Pathfinders are going to break this, if things like Jyn Erso is going to break this, being able to just deploy anywhere, especially when you're starting so very far apart. Seems like the first couple of rounds will be nothing but movement. And if you're able to just start right up there ahead of time, it seems kind of insane. But shouldn't Jyn Erso be really good for something like this? I don't know. I'd like to hear what you guys think. All right, guys, don't forget to, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the alerts so you can be alerted when new content comes out. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.